Welcome to me, Kamchi Israel. There are moments in life when someone disappoints us, a child, a spouse, a friend, an employee, or even perhaps a business partner. Sometimes they've made a terrible mistake, and in that moment, we face a choice. Do we prove our point, or do we protect their dignity? At first glance, those seem like opposite goals. This week's Parashat teaches us they're actually one and the same. Sefer Devarim is often called the Sefer HaTochacha, the book of rebuke. Moshe Rabbeinu is about to deliver his final address to Klal Yisrael, and for 40 years, he witnessed every triumph and every failure. This is his final opportunity to prepare the Jewish people for living without him. One would expect him to speak openly about their mistakes, to remind them of the golden calf, the miragalim, their complaints in the desert, but he doesn't. Instead, he speaks in riddles. Ela HaDevarim. He mentions places like Dizahav, Paran, Chatzerot, names that seem almost meaningless. Rashi explains they weren't meaningless at all. Each place was a quiet reminder of a different failure. Every word pointed to another chapter in the nation's history. But then Rabbi Moshe Sternbach asks a remarkable question: why? Everyone standing there already knew exactly what had happened. Moshe wasn't revealing any secrets, so why not simply say it? Reb Sternbach answers deliciously, because Moshe wasn't trying to expose their past. He was trying to shape their future. Anyone passing by, any outsider listening, would never know what those places meant. Even while giving the rebuke, Moshe refused to embarrass the people he loved. He understood something profound. If your goal is merely to point out what's wrong, humiliation may accomplish that. But if your goal is to help someone become better, then preserving their dignity isn't optional, it's essential. People don't become better because you make them feel worse or low. They become better because you remind them that they can still become better. Perhaps that's why we always read Parashat Devarim right before Tisha B'Av. Because before we can rebuild the Beit HaMikdash, we have to rebuild the way we treat one another. There is a phenomenal story that captures this lesson better than almost anything that I've ever heard. There are moments when one split second changes the lives between two families forever, and this is one of those stories. It began with an ordinary taxi driver in Israel. His name was Arnon Yogev. His wife pleaded with him constantly, please slow down, but he never listened. He drove aggressively, always too fast, too carelessly. Friends would warn him all the time, and family would warn him, slow down. Everyone said one day, this is going to end up in tragedy. And one afternoon, it did. An 11-year-old boy named Reuven had just finished school. He slung his backpack over his shoulder, stepped into the street, and within seconds, Arnon's speeding taxi struck him. The impact was devastating. The little boy was killed instantly, lo aleinu. Arnon panicked, and instead of stopping, he just drove and drove and drove, and an hour later, he heard the news on the radio. Police are searching for the driver involved in a fatal hit and run. He pulled his taxi to the side of the road, ran into an empty field. He collapsed and cried. What have I done? What have I done? The very next day, he turned himself in. He was sentenced, of course, to prison. But prison was only the beginning. Back home, his wife Hannah left all alone. No income, 2 young children, bills were piling up, the electricity was disconnected, the refrigerator was almost empty, and one morning she searched everywhere in every drawer in the house, hoping to find enough coins to buy milk and bread. She found absolutely nothing. She sat down and looked towards heaven and whispered the following, Borei Olam, what do I do now? What do I do now? Just then there was a knock at the door. 2 delivery men stood outside, boxes of groceries, baby formula, diapers, an envelope filled with cash. Before she could ask who had sent them, they were gone. Over the months that followed, anonymous help continued arriving month after month. Groceries, the bills were quietly paid, small gifts before Yom Tov, always anonymous and always quiet. Whenever Chava visited her husband in prison, he would ask, how are you surviving? She smiled through the tears. It's as if, like little elves keep taking care of us. Neither of them had the slightest idea who those elves were. Years passed. Arnon completed his prison sentence, and one final anonymous envelope arrived on the day he was leaving prison. Inside were clothing vouchers and a handwritten note wishing him success as he rebuilt his life. Still, no name. Slowly, one thing remarkable began to happen. The family started growing, not financially, spiritually. They began observing more mitzvot. They began learning Torah, growing closer to Borei Olam. They became sincere Ba'alei Teshuvah, not because anyone pressured them, not because anyone had actually preached to them, simply because they had experienced a kindness they could never explain. Many years later, they decided they had to visit the parents of the little boy. And imagine that moment, the man whose car had taken their son standing at their front door. The grieving parents opened it not with anger, not with accusations. They invited them inside, coffee, cake, hesed, kindness. Finally, Arnon broke down. I don't know how to begin to ask you for forgiveness, but please, I beg you, forgive me. The parents quietly answered, we forgive you. Life and death is in the hands of Borei Olam. 15 years later, the mystery was finally solved. While once at the city office, a government clerk casually said, you do know who's been helping you all these years, right? It was Rabbi Shamshonov. Chava froze. It couldn't be. Rabbi Shamshonov was Ruvain's father, the father of the child her husband had killed. Every Friday night, Ram Shanov sat at the Shabbat table looking at the empty chair where his 11-year-old son should have been sitting. Then on Sunday morning, he quietly helped feed the family of the man who had caused that empty chair. That evening, they returned to his home, not to ask forgiveness. This time they came with one question: why? Why? The Rebbetzin answered gently, when we lost our son, our hearts were shattered, but my husband said, this is the moment to rise above ourselves. We decided to quietly take care of your family, not because what happened didn't hurt or destroy us, it hurt every single day, but because another broken family didn't need more shame. They needed someone to help them stand once again. Then she said words that I don't think anyone who hears them will ever forget. We hoped that one day you would grow in Yirat Shamayim, and that would be a zechut for our boy. We never pressured you, we simply loved you and watched you grow. Ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly how Moshe Rabbeinu spoke. Moshe certainly could have said to Klal Yisrael, change, but he understood the lasting change doesn't begin with humiliation. It begins with dignity, and that's why he never stood before the nation and declared, you built the golden calf, you complained, you failed. Instead, he simply hinted. He alluded and protected their honor, even while remaining there when they had already fallen. Because Moshe wasn't trying to win an argument, he was trying to win back a people. Ram Shamshonov understood that same exact truth. He never ignored what happened. It was very painful. How could he? He buried his own boy. But he also understood that another shattered family would never be rebuilt with shame. He reminded them that the worst day of their lives is beyond them. He simply carried them until they were strong enough to walk on their own. And what happened? They returned. Not because someone embarrassed them. They returned because someone believed in them. They were still worth saving. Maybe that's why Moshe never mentioned the sins. Because people equally remember their failure. What they often forget is that someone believes is who they actually become. Moshe remembered, Reb Shamshonov remembered, and may Borei Olam protect us to become the people who speak the truth with compassion, who correct with sensitivity, and never sacrifice another person's dignity, even in moments of disappointment. And in that merit, may we soon witness the rebuilding of the Beit HaMikdash b'mehera b'yameinu. Amen. Shabbat shalom u'mivorach.